We
are recording.
I'm ready.
This is gonna be a hot episode. It's gonna get hot.
You know, I think this coming week is supposed to be like real nice.
Yeah, it is. But I'm just talking more metaphorically hot as well as physically hot. Because of this episode, it's gonna be a hot one. Plus, I just wanted to show my sleeve fits.
It can be both.
You know, it is true. It's true. It's gonna be in the 60s, so it's gonna be physically hot and metaphorically hot. It's gonna be a hot one this week, regardless of where.
Yeah, like I can also be fat and fat. I can be chunky and pretty hot and tempting at the same time.
I mean, that is true.
Two things can be the same.
That's why you have that Joey Fatone poster. You know, he was also both.
You know, I like a good old dad bod. I'm not gonna lie. I don't mind a little belly, something to hold on to.
Yeah, I mean, come on. The bellies are. Every guy has a little pot belly going on.
A little pooch.
Yeah, and I feel like you can't expect like a 9-pack. As long as the rest of them is taken care of, I feel like you should be fine. You know,
I think curves are sexy, actually, especially on ladies.
Yeah,
curvy ladies, I think, are really beautiful.
I don't want to date a stick. You know, I want something I like curves.
No one wants a bone but a dog. You ever heard that one?
I haven't, but I like it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't. I mean, I guess I'm never gonna hook up with a super like stick girl ever again because I am engaged. I was gonna say next time I did, it would feel like a dog humping a bone, but that's not gonna happen.
At your bachelor party, we're gonna have like 15 guys there. If you want to take your pick, try something new.
That's right. Dudes. Everybody knows it's not cheating if it's gay. So we're gonna do this in 3, 2, 1.
What are you doing?
Testes in my mouth.
Get on the ground, you fucking pledge.
Ew.
Welcome to the greatest podcast experience of your life. This is the FratChat Podcast.
All young men like 3 things. Food, booze, pussy.
Featuring Carlos Garcia and Chris Moore.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the greatest podcast in the history of podcast and time. It's the FratChat Podcast. I'm Carlos Garcia with Chris Simo Moore. Let's go, Mr. Moore.
I'm good, thanks. I'm getting over a cold a little bit, so I'm a little congested. Wow, I think everyone's getting sick.
Yeah, I feel like the change of weather will do that. I am surprised. The hanky hasn't come out yet.
Oh, I have it right next to me.
Yes, I knew he would be nearby. And I have to say, I feel like every week you have a new background going on. Last week it was like a winter wonderland, and now you have a springtime forest background. So I do love it. It's very inspirational. It makes me feel like better about this week.
I love a good tapestry.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I look like I'm in the wilderness. I don't know shit about wilderness. I know a little bit about bears, but not the kind of bears you find here. You know what I mean?
That's right. And beavers and wolves, you know, all the. But
not
again,
not the beaver, but you know.
Yeah, that's right. For survival, he once had to try one amenity beaver in college, but it was just for survival. You know, he very quickly realized that there were no nutrients in beaver.
I want to tell you that last week's episode sparked a little bit of conversation in the workplace because they were all on the same page about, you should not poop in the bathroom while your significant other is showering.
Okay, thank you.
And they were a little bit mixed about the peeing. And I said, I don't think it's a big deal. And then this one guy said, I actually have showered with my significant other and she peed in the shower.
Well, that's different.
And
that is
like,
not cool.
That's horrible.
That is a line that like you just don't do. If you're having a sexy time shower in there, Like, you can't take a piss in there. Like, no, you say, hey, I'm sorry, I gotta go. You get out of the shower, dry yourself off a little bit, go pee, and then come back in.
And then another coworker said, well, if she were to squirt at you and it gets on you, it's pee is the same thing. I said, no, it's not the same thing. I was like, because squirting is involuntary, but peeing is intentional. Fuck that hoe. She fucking pissed on you, bro. You better dump her ass.
Yeah.
What?
And squirting is a result of like some sexy time going on.
Arousal.
It's like, hey, you did something good. You know what I mean? Like, if you got yourself a squirter and that's what she does when good things happen, that means that good thing just happened. Forget it to happen. So, don't shame the squirters, lady.
Some people are like, you're in the shower. It doesn't matter. It most certainly does matter.
Totally. In that case, like, should we drop a fucking poop in there while we're at it? Oh, it's in the shower. It's gonna go down the drain. I get diarrhea. It's fine. It's liquid. It'll just slide right down the drain. It's like, no, right? So fuck that. Don't pee on people, R. Kelly's. Come on.
I have some friends, gay friends specifically, who have an attachment in the shower, and it's skinny. They shove it up their butt to squirt water up their butt.
I knew this is where this was going.
And then they relieve themselves in the shower. And I was like, whoa. Well, you shit in your shower? I'm like, yeah, that's disgusting. I was like, your poor neighbors, the plumbing must suck. So you shit in the shower, bro? It's like, yeah. Oh, okay.
And then someone comes over to stay over, and they're like, "Oh, great! They have a little la la la. It's right from my face."
Oh God. And then also, I know some not just lesbians, but girls in general who will take their sex toys and boil them in the same pots and pans that they cook with to sanitize their sex toys. I'm like, oh, so you're making mac and cheese for your kiddos in the same pot that you boiled your fucking veggie juice? That's nasty. That's gross to me.
Yeah. You know that rice they brought to the family pot roast? Yep.
Ooh.
The one where she boils old Jeffrey in.
So horrible.
And she also has the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's a double-headed, for extra the pleasure.
And also, I have a friend in Chicago that one time, we've talked about this years ago, but he opened up he was like, everything in the dishwasher is clean. He opened the dishwasher, pulled out the top rack, and there was some glassware in addition to some dildos. And I was like, you're going to hand me a glass that was in the same tub of water with your fucking booty juice, you nasty fuck? Are you kidding me? That's disgusting. I said, I will drink out the bottle, thank you. No. You can't, this is so wrong. And everyone said that I was like prejudiced or discriminatory about our community. They're like,
wrong.
You're too much of a prude. You're fucking priss. No, I have self-esteem and standards, and I don't want to drink anything that's going to give me fucking worms.
That is the lamest. That is not cool, dude. What the fuck? If someone hands me a glass that's next to something to have their fucking asshole on, I'm sorry, I'm going home. This is not.
I should have called 911.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck, dude? Oh God, yeah. Some people are too comfortable too. Like, what the fuck? This is not something I ever want to see. It's like, oh God. I had a girlfriend once, and I came home after her and her friends were like vibrator shopping, and they all had like what they got at, and it's like based on what they got, you kind of get like a little judgmental. It's hard not to be, because some, like, for example, go for like the little like thingies. It's like, oh, it's just for stimulation, it feels good, it's like an extra tool, whatever. And then there's the ones that go for like the anal blaster 4000, brother. 6,000 settings straight up your ass. With 9,000 speeds, it gets ready to fucking tear your asshole out, brother. Ah, it's like, yeah, there's different levels to these vibrator games, so it was kind of tough not to judge after a certain friend got like the extreme ass blaster 9,000. It's like, dude, do you really need that? Like, what the fuck?
That was my nickname in high school. Just kidding. It was Boston Cream.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, Simo. There he is. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's time to hear from you guys.
Yes.
Because it is emails from the listeners. And I got another long one this week. I'm back on the long train. So you can, I said you start us off.
Okay. I did. Yours is really long.
Yeah. That's what
mine I thought was pretty funny. This is from someone named Guillermo from El Paso, Texas.
Hey, that's my middle name.
It's a cousin of yours.
Yeah. It's my middle name. It's my dad's name. It's my brother's name. But not from Texas.
Is it? Wait, that's your brother's name too, and your dad's name? Guillermo?
Yeah. My dad was like George Foreman. He was just lazy about naming his kid. He's like George Foreman, the 16th.
Fair.
And that's Georgette Foreman. we all kind of got the same name, just paced around.
So actually, I like this email because I think I saw clips of this on TikTok. And so, are you blowing kisses to your fiance?
I was to Stella. She was being cute. I'm so sad that you caught that.
I was like, was that for me? Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's all for you.
I did just wash my hair.
Okay. Just so you know, I'll be here for you.
So, this guy, Guillermo from El Paso, Texas, he wrote, "Dear FratChat, recently, Jeremy Carl, a 2026 nominee for a senior State Department role under Trump, explained the idea that white culture was under threat here in the United States. He even went as far as to say that white people face significant racial discrimination. Do you believe in this quote-unquote white erasure? And in your words, can you define white culture?" Signed, Guillermo from El Paso, Texas.
White culture is putting fucking raisins in potato salad and bringing that shit to the cookout.
Yeah.
Everybody say, "What the fuck, Mary?"
Like white culture to me is like butter, like deep fried stuff, maybe.
Fucking mayonnaise sandwiches, motherfuckers.
Ketchup. But I thought to myself, like, what is, like, we talked about, Kristi Noem, rest in peace. You got fired, bitch. We talked about Kristi Noem going to a Mexican restaurant on her birthday, and I'm like, if you like want to preserve white culture, then go to like a white people place,
Yeah.
But I thought, what is like a white person place? I don't know. Like, if I think of white people food, maybe like a dry burger, maybe a well done dry burger with
steak with ketchup.
Or like fish sticks and steakums in your freezer, like that, like Domino's pizza or pizza, like that's white culture. Like, it's not. I don't really think that, like, when I think of like all my favorite things, I wouldn't define that as white culture. I love sushi. I love Italian food. I love like Latin cuisine. Like, I had this Brazilian dish. It's called moqueca recently. It's like a fish stew. And you put it with rice and like shrimp. It's so good.
And steak, that can't be claimed by anyone because everyone in the world eats steak.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's not like a white, like there's some like badass cowboys out west that fucking like grill some nice pieces of steak and shit. But like, you can see that in South America. You can see that all kinds of places. So no one can claim steak. Hamburgers were invented in Germany, but the Americans did do the cheeseburger. So
Okay, they added. You know what? Every culture adds cheese and things that they
made it
think
like a
something.
flatter. And the smash burger was made in America, which is the tastiest way to eat a burger, I have to say.
It's like
Scientifically proven.
it's like Latin America was like, you know what? I'm gonna put cheese between two tortillas. I'm gonna make something brilliant. And then
That's
Italians were
right.
like, you know what? I'm gonna deep fry some cheese sticks. I'm gonna call it mozzarella cheese sticks, and I'm gonna
That's
make
true.
millions. Everyone's like, you know what? I'm gonna do something. So America's like, oh fuck, we gotta figure something out. I'm gonna put
Cheese
cheese
is
on a
fucking
patty.
That's why, like, being lactose intolerant, I would still just shit my pants and eat the cheese. Like, I can't imagine my life without cheese.
You know what?
Or
American cheese is American, and it's my least favorite cheese.
I will say, I agree. It's my least favorite cheese, generally speaking. But on a burger, on a cheeseburger, I love me some American cheese. That or cheddar. But I think it's like the
Okay.
cheese you get. You know, like a Big Mac or like a bacon cheeseburger, you gotta have American cheese. But like for like a sandwich, no, I'm gonna pick any other cheese.
Well,
Depends on what I'm having. Like a pork sandwich, maybe I'll do a little Swiss cheese, like a Cuban. You know what I mean? Like if I'm gonna go, maybe I'll do a little Munster if I'm gonna do a club sandwich or something like that, or cheddar, shit like that. But if I'm gonna do like a big sub, I'll do provolone. You know, it just depends on what you're looking for.
Well, to answer Guillermo's question, I will say that I saw some clips of this and there was a lot of pushback, and I think Jeremy Carl is a total fucking pansy bitch. And so like I don't think that white people are at risk of being erased. I think it's a crock of shit. I think that white people, and I'm speaking on behalf of all white people because I can. I'm saying I'm going to say that we should be absolutely thankful for all the cultural diffusion that makes up America. Like if I was restricted to just eat the food of I guess like what my people, I would jump off a bridge. So
Oh, totally.
but aside from food, my colleagues in Europe, we talked about like American culture. And I think that when people think of like America, they think out of shape. They think obesity. They think a lot of fried food and over like huge food portions. They think very little employee rights. So like very little paid time off, very little like benefits for young families, like maternity and paternity leave. They think really expensive um like benefits. And so I would venture to say that if white culture was erased, I don't think anyone would truly miss it. So
I will
I
say
don't believe in white erasure, but if it does exist, I'm here for it.
if you want to complain about white culture being erased, and then you would have to then complain that some of the most successful white entertainers have taken their shit from black people. Like you look at Elvis Presley, for
Mhm.
example. His style of music, everything he learned was from learning from black people in the South and shit.
Yeah, George
And he
Michael was
put
influenced by Motown.
that's right.
Well, but he's not American.
You look at Eminem. You know, he's the greatest rapper to ever do it. I love him, but obviously everybody knows that rap is from black culture, and you know, so without black culture, what does Eminem become? Probably nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on, at this point, you got to just get over it. The power of America was the whole melting pot situation. That's what made America great. It wasn't white people. It wasn't any specific group. It was the fact that it was different people from all areas of the world that came here to better this country, better themselves, and coming together with their experiences from various different places. They have different perspectives, which thus gives them a better group perspective than someone who has only been in one part of the world. You know what I mean? So that's what makes America great again. So people just try to make this like, oh, they're taking away our white race. This is ridiculous shit. So yeah, well, I don't know. I don't sweat people like that. I just let them talk their crazy juice, and you know, don't even engage because they'll no matter what you say to them, they typically disregard everything and they're just stuck in their positions. But eventually, I feel like they see the light. So just do your
I
thing. Don't sweat it.
I think there's a lot of at-risk, marginalized groups that need our help. And unfortunately, white people are not marginalized, and I don't think they need any help. And Jeremy Carl, if you're listening, and I'm sure you are, you're a big fucking faggot. Next email. Sorry, that called like I see it. What a fucking fag, man. Loser.
Oh, love it. Anywho,
your email is long.
Yeah, this one is long. Wow. Anywho, yeah. So this one comes from Steve from NYC, and maybe this is why he's writing us, because this is a fucking Bible and a half. But I'm not gonna lie, this one hit the soul. Oh, I'm sorry, Steve. But he goes, "Hey, FratChat guys. I've got one for you guys because I genuinely don't know whether to laugh, cry, or get evaluated by a therapist." So, my girlfriend and I had been living together for about a year. Things seemed normal. No huge fights. No, we need to talk moments. Nothing that suggested the relationship was on life support. We split rent, had a dog together. Wait a minute. Is this fucking Julie? Did you send it? No. This sounds familiar. We split rent. We had a dog together, did the whole couple grocery shopping on Sundays routine. I thought things were good. No, actually, no. And this is no, it's not me, because I would never fucking go with her. Like, it's like, have fun. Woo. So then about 2 weeks ago, she tells me she has a surprise, quote unquote, plan for me after work. Naturally, I'm thinking maybe she planned a date night, or maybe she finally bought the air fryer I've been hinting about for months. Instead, I walk into her apartment, and there are 3 of her friends sitting in the living room filming me on their phones. She tells me to sit down because they're doing a relationship prank video.
Wow.
Next thing I know, she starts dramatically explaining how she's been unhappy for a long time, listing all these reasons we shouldn't be together anymore, and basically dumping me while her friends are giggling from behind their phones. I'm sitting there thinking the whole time, like, okay, this is the prank. Like, eventually someone's going to yell, "Gotcha." Except no one did. After about 2 minutes of me looking completely confused, she finally says something like, "See, this is why I did it this way. If it's framed like a prank, it's less awkward and less painful." Ooh. So just to recap, she invited an audience, recorded my reaction, pretended it was a prank, and revealed the twist was like the breakup was real. The part that's messing with my head is how casual she was about it. Like, this was like a creative solution she was proud of. My friends say this is a borderline sociopath behavior. Her friends apparently think it was kind of funny, but sad. So I need outside opinions. Was I dating a sociopath, or is this some new level of modern breakup strategy that I just missed the memo on? Again, Steve from NYC.
She's going to put that video on social media.
Yeah, she's going to punk
you. She's
you,
got
dude.
3 different angles of it. So she can make a nice video.
She's going to punk the fuck out of you, dude. Like, this is... Ooh, I'm not going to lie. My soul will leave my fucking body. I am glad, or at least I hope, that Julie never does shit like this to me.
Well, she wouldn't do that because Julie's a nice person. She's a great person, actually. So
yeah, right.
I kind of wish I knew what this girl's name was, because I would roast the fuck out of her. So wait, what's this guy's name? Steve?
Yeah,
with a V. So Steve, I think you're better off. I think you dodged a bullet, and I think that your ex-girlfriend is a cunt. That is such a shitty thing to do, and in front of an audience, in front of her friends. She had her entire support system, and then she did something so incredibly humiliating and recorded it.
Yeah,
that is a shit person.
Yeah, and agree with all that. And just to add on to it, it's so elaborate that it reminds me of like for example, last week we covered the American Idol guy who killed his wife. You know, the elaborate 911 calls that like these people who end up killing their spouses later on do to stage these crime scenes, and then later on it turns out, oh, it was them all along. I feel like she's gonna end up being one of those types of wives, like in like 10 years. So yeah, I really think you dodged a bullet. That is definitely like some sociopathic behavior if I ever saw it. So
And I also
yeah,
think
run.
that like if you are given zero notice and now you're responsible to pay rent by yourself,
Yeah,
like
that's shit.
that not only is she messing with like your heartstrings, but she's also messing with your finances. Now I will say, to play devil's advocate, if by chance, Steve, I don't know you, Steve, but if by chance you were severely unhinged and she did this because she was scared of your reaction
Oh,
or retaliation or whatnot, then I understand it. So if you are unhinged and if you do need therapy, you should go get it.
that's
But if you were purely a victim in this case, I'm going to side with you. So it's hard because there's always two sides to every story. But based on just what we have in front of us, I think that she's a cunt. But if by chance you are struggling with anger management and you might be violent, then I think one could argue that maybe it's justified,
totally. I think that's a very fair caveat to add in there. Yeah, I agree. Based on the story, if you say there's no fight, something like that, then I think she is a see you next Tuesday as well. Otherwise, you might be crazy. So,
Steve,
but yeah, it's very sociopathic.
Steve, if that video shows up on social media, then you better keep that dog.
That's actually that makes me side with him more, because if she
Yeah.
was afraid of what he was gonna do, I feel like she wouldn't like do like this prank thing. Like she would have just ran away. You know what I mean? Like not like bring two of her friends to fucking like, punk him.
The giggling aspect, like for people to be witnessing a breakup and giggle and find enjoyment in your misery to your face in your house.
Yeah,
that is like a recipe for like disaster.
You would not want to be with that person. Imagine those people
No
being
way.
like her bridesmaids later on. You know, like,
Horrible.
no. Run away. Don't take her back if she
Absolutely
comes back.
horrible.
Get away. Get away.
Steve, I'm
buddy.
sorry. I just hope you're not crazy, Steve. But assuming you're not, I'm sorry.
Yeah, us too.
Anywho, so Florida.
Of course, we had to head down there because.
Oh, wait. Before, can we say a big birthday shout out to Ron Prendamano?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Our Florida buddy himself. Let's see. I wonder if he's alive. Oh,
he just responded. He said, "Laugh my ass off. Thanks, guys. I sent Ron a nudie pic for his birthday. Sorry, Jess. That's his wife. Sorry, Jess.
I'm going to call him and put him on speaker right now.
I sent him a nudie picture, and then Carlos edited it and put a candlestick in my butt crack. He made it right. It was a work in progress until Carlos touched it.
That's right. Let me call him here. We'll be on the air.
Buenos, what's up?
Ronald, you are on the FratChat Podcast right now, live on the air, and we wanted to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you.
And when are you going to come blow that candle up Simo's ass?
How's next Thursday sound?
Great.
Thursday?
Great.
Beautiful. Next Thursday it is.
Next Thursday, excellent.
Make sure you bring some Vaseline, a banana, and some duct tape. And we got you.
Oh, okay. All right. I like it. Yeah.
If bananas aren't in season, I'll settle for vacuum cleaner attachments. Whatever you have lying around.
Those could be more fun, especially like the brush. That could be fun.
Yeah.
There you go.
That could be fun.
Feliz cumpleaños.
We love you, buddy.
I love you guys. Thank you.
See ya.
Smooches.
There we go. Live on the air.
Fucking love that guy. Okay. Sorry. So back to Florida.
Now we can roast the place that Birth, Ron. We can get real about him. Anyways, so it's time for the news. Come on, get the Newscaster post.
Nice.
Yeah. Check us out. News at 6. All right. So we are going to head down to Florida because whenever something incredibly stupid happens in American politics, odds are there's a gator and a group chat involved. Because at Florida International University, a group chat for college Republicans lasted about 3 weeks before turning into what investigators are basically describing as the racism Olympics held entirely on WhatsApp. It turned into a digital hate crime museum, basically. According to leaked WhatsApp messages, members of the chat were throwing around racist, sexist, anti-Semitic, and homophobic slurs like they were competing in the Olympics of being fired later. The N-word alone showed up over 400 times, which means someone in that chat was basically treating racism like it had a daily step goal. At that point, it's basically the group's official punctuation mark. Like, what the fuck, dude? The chat was also reportedly started by Abel Alexander Carvajal, which sense the irony of like his last name, definitely like Brazilian or some shit. And this is Florida International University. So, excuse me. So he was not just a student. He's also the secretary of the Miami-Dade Republican Party, which feels a little like discovering the lifeguard it started the shark feeding. You know what I mean? The group apparently spun up after the chat, spun up the chat after the death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, of course. But instead of mourning or discussing politics, it quickly turned into what can only be described as 4chan with a LinkedIn profile. One guy in the chat, William Bejarano, again, went absolutely off the rails, repeatedly using racial slurs and fantasizing about violent acts against Black people. Another member responded to the extreme comments by simply writing, "How edgy," which is the group chat equivalent of watching someone commit a felony and replying with a fire emoji. Another member repeatedly referred to Black people as colored and wrote things like "avoid them like the plague," like Jesus Christ. And the yikes didn't stop there, of course, because racism was only part of the chat. There was also anti-Semitic jokes, homophobic comments, and at one point someone wrote something along the lines of, "You can sleep with Jewish people, just don't marry them." Because apparently the vibe of this chat was, what if a hate rally also had Wi-Fi? Then it somehow got even weirder. The group chat name was changed to Gooning in Agartha. Now, for those who don't speak terminally online, gooning is like Gen Z slang for like enthusiastic solo activities, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Oh, yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And Agartha or Agartha, I forgot how it's pronounced, is a mythical underground Aryan civilization that Nazi leadership was like super weirdly obsessed with. It's like a whole thing. I would take a whole episode to explain it. Just Google it. Maybe we'll talk about it some other day. So the group chat, though, basically translated to jerking off in Nazi Atlantis, which is a phrase I truly did not expect to say out loud in 2026.
I think I looked like the guy from the Atlantis Disney movie.
Hopefully not the one jerking off.
Well, I don't know what he does in his spare time.
That's true. They don't show that. It's only a 90-minute flick.
Yeah.
You have to cut a lot of stuff. That's why people don't poop in movies, people.
They were
right.
like our president. Okay, continue.
Now, when the messages leaked, Carvajal's defense was basically the classic, "Hey, I started the chat, but I didn't read the chat," which is kind of like the nightclub owner saying, "I opened the bar, but I had no idea there was drinking happening inside."
Yeah.
And he did admit he might bear some responsibility, but insisted he would have kicked people out if he had seen the messages, which is tough to sell when investigators noticed he had deleted dozens of his own messages before the logs surfaced. So, which is the digital equivalent of showing up to court with your diary but half the pages are ripped out.
Yeah.
The fallout has been also immediate, with leaders within the Miami-Dade Republican Party, including its first Jewish chairman, condemning the act and calling for Carvajal to resign. And several Republican state senators also demanded that anyone involved be removed from party leadership, which, to be fair, is the correct response when your youth outreach program accidentally turns into Stormfront the study group. And here's the kicker. This isn't even the first time something like this has happened. Similar leaked group chats from young Republican groups have popped up in 2022, and again last year, filled with the same racist and anti-Semitic bullshit, which means at this point, you have to be blind or stupid not to see a pattern here. So, let this be a lesson to everyone listening. If your group chat starts with politics and somehow ends with Nazi mythology and 400 fucking racial slurs in under 3 weeks, maybe, just maybe, log off and go touch some fucking grass. You fucking idiots.
And that's I would assume that most of these assholes on this group chat were probably Americans, but I don't know based off the last names. And it's Florida International University. I do think that racism
is international college. These people have not a lot of them are foreigners and stuff, but it's like the ones that want to fit in extra hard with the Republican Party. So maybe they're trying extra hard with the racism, but it's like, come on, bro, look in the mirror.
Yeah, I think that America is racist, but I don't think that that's something that just Americans can claim. I think that there's racism globally, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I think this is horrible. Just because you may not have said something, like you can still get in trouble. Let's say that you're a manager at a shop in New York, specifically. If you witness one of your employees sexually harass another employee and you did nothing to stop it or to address it, you're in trouble too.
Yeah,
you're absolutely in trouble. So you can be brought up on charges. So I think that they should throw the book at this loser.
Yeah, and plus he clearly participated in the chat if he fucking deleted messages within it. So you can't say he didn't read it. He clearly was saying some really fucked up shit himself. He felt the need to delete the messages. So it's like, come on, bro. Come on. How stupid is you? Like, at this point, you were better off just being honest and coming out with whatever you're just going to say. Because in this political culture, J.D. Vance would come out in a week and defend you probably. Like he did the last people. He's like, oh, boys will be boys, even though they were like 36. So, I don't know, man.
I think they should just do what Carlos does at his family. He calls foreigners Canadians. Can you believe those fucking Canadians taking all of our goddamn jobs?
That's right. Everybody knows. And then they just give me like a wink. We do a wave too.
Those Canadians better start speaking English. I swear to God.
Fucking Canadians. They're so goddamn lazy taking our jobs.
Those Canadians are eating our cats and dogs. And they don't know how to use the self-checkout lane. I've had
it. Goddamn Canadians selling chiclets down the street without a permit. Fuck them. Fuck them all. Oh shit, we love
it. But you know what? These are things that we learned in college, so they just got to stick with it.
That's right. That's right. They'll be real Americans.
Anyway, fucking Florida.
Fucking Florida. Oh god, we should call Ron back and tell him Anyway, it's time for the return of Not the Drag Queens, ladies and gentlemen, and we got a good one that is worth the wait, since we know we haven't done the segment in like 2 weeks. But note, this is a good one because this is, if you've missed it, if you've never seen it, this is your favorite recurring segment where we look at who conservatives say is harming kids, and then we look who's actually getting arrested. Correct. Because this story comes to us. Wait, I I gotta hit the. There we go. This story comes to us courtesy of Right Wing Watch, who is one of my favorite online groups, which flagged a major investigation out of Rhode Island. That is, let's just say, not about drag lunches.
Never.
A multi-year investigation by the Rhode Island Attorney General found that the Catholic Diocese of Providence spent decades failing to stop widespread child abuse by clergy. According to the report, which examined records going all the way back to 1950, at least 75 priests and deacons were credibly accused of molesting more than 300 children. Holy shit. And officials say that that number is almost certainly higher because many victims never came forward. Now, here's where it gets ugly, because instead of reporting these allegations to police or permanently removing the priests, church leadership often did something else entirely. They moved them. They transferred them to a new parish, sent them to a treatment center, put them on leave for a while, then currently reassigned them somewhere else, which means the new institutional response to child abuse for decades was essentially, hey, new church, new kids, buddy. Go have fun. Out of those 75 accused clergy members, only about 26% were ever charged with a crime, and just 14 were actually convicted. Let that sink in. 300 victims, 75 accused priests, 14 convictions. That's not fucking accountability. That's clerical witness protection program, essentially. Now, one survivor described being groomed by Monsignor John Allard, who investigators say first built trust with the attention and affection before eventually sexually abusing him. The kind of manipulation that experts say predators often use when they're protected by positions of authority. Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Neronha, sorry if I butcher that, said the goal of releasing the report was to bring a full reckoning to what happened and to push for greater transparency in child protection. And the Diocese of Providence responded by saying the report shows their willingness to share internal records and that they believe protections for children are now strong, which is a statement that reads a little like, yes, decades of horrific abuse happened, but look how transparent we're being about it now. We're cool. So once again, in today's episode of Not the Drag Queens, the people harming children were not drag performers. Well, they don't look like that to me. They were not in libraries. They were not trans people. They were not at a pride parade. It was, of course, dozens of Catholic clergy members protected for decades by the very institution that was supposed to be protecting children. It's kind of funny how that keeps happening, huh?
It's really sad. It's really, really sad. And I just remember growing up, my grandma would be so offended because she would donate so much money to her Catholic church. And I was like, that money is being spent on court fees because a lot of them are in trouble, So it's just I don't want my taxpayer money going to bombing children's hospitals. That makes me upset. And I don't think that my grandma's donation should be going to help fund legal battles for these priests that can't keep their hands to themselves. I just think that this is such a mess. It's been going on for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's fucking wild, man. And it's just so not surprising either, which makes it even more disappointing. So you know what I mean? That this it's I would have been more surprised if it turned out that they were like, oh yeah, here's the stuff, but here, let's go after these bastards. But nope. 14 convictions. That's so little out of 75 people.
If I had a nice church and I did all the right things, I'd be really upset that that my church would be tainted by the reputation of this church. So I just feel all these cases make the general public lose faith in the Catholic Church.
Absolutely.
As
Especially
a whole.
knowing that, I mean, again, 14 out of 70, that's an 18% conviction rate. That is
horrible.
So, that means at that, I'm Catholic. The day that Julie and I decided to have kids, I'm not necessarily sure I want to raise a Catholic knowing that this shit is happening. I don't want to fucking leave it alone with some fucking weird Catholic priest.
In Jewish law, if the mom's Jewish, your kids are Jewish.
Well, Jewish laws don't pay our bills, right?
Well, you're gonna have to circumcise the kid.
Oh, don't worry. I got a package from Amazon. I'm gonna do it right at home. Save like $12. It's gonna be great. Ready to
And
go.
then the extra foreskin, you grind it up and put it on underneath your eyes.
Oh no, I make it like bacon sandwiches. It's perfect.
Oh, that works too. Yeah. Don't waste it.
It's a BLT, of course. I'll save you some.
It's a BLFT: bacon, lettuce, foreskin, tomato.
No, I'm not. We're giving the Epstein clan too many ideas, so we take that back.
I hope Hillary Clinton's not listening.
Yeah, that's right. Wherever he is. Don't get any ideas, Jeffrey. Anyways, now, ladies and gents, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is time to get to it. And we have a pretty fucking epic topic this week.
Yeah.
Because history class in school usually gives you, like, the greatest hits. The Revolutionary War, the Founding Fathers, maybe the Civil War if the teacher was feeling ambitious that week. But what they usually leave out are the absolutely unhinged chapters of American history. The stories that are so bizarre, dark, or embarrassing that they somehow never quite make it into a textbook. Now tonight, or today, I should say, wherever the fuck you're listening to this, we're diving into some of the wildest moments in U.S. history that most people never learned about in school. It's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy, from black businesses that got destroyed to secret CIA programs and LSD, all kinds of shit and wars, all kinds of stuff. These are the kinds of stories when you hear them, your first reaction is going to be like, wait, that happened here? So we're counting down some of the craziest, most unbelievable chapters of American history. The stuff that proves the real story of this country is often way stranger than anything they put in the curriculum. So, let's get crazy, Mr. Mo.
Oh, yeah.
No, this is going to be a crazy topic.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. So, let's see. We both have some great ones here. Would you like to start us off with one? Or would you like
Sure. By the way, that music was very scary. Sometimes when I see
right.
like posts on like TikTok or Instagram and they have like background music like that, it gives me the heebie-jeebies,
Mhm.
Okay. So I didn't know about this. But there's something called, I guess, in the early 1900s. Have you heard of the Radium Girls?
The Radium Girls? No, I never have.
Okay, so like, I think that in the early 1900s, maybe like 1917-ish, a lot of women started to join the workforce, and
Right.
so
More.
yeah, and so the Radium Girls specifically were female factory workers who contracted fatal radiation poisoning while they were painting watch dials with this paint that like kind of glowed in the dark, and its main like ingredient was radium. And these poor girls,
no.
like the company knew that this paint was toxic, but they didn't tell the girls. And the girls actually would paint their teeth and their fingernails with this glow in the dark paint and think it was funny. And they were instructed to lip point their brushes. So like instead of like dipping their brushes in like water or like a towel, they were told to like I guess pinch it with like their lips to get a nice fine like point with the
Right.
brush. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's what I used to do. I used to get a little lick,
Yeah.
and it gets like twink.
And just by doing that, it's kind of like if let's say you're trying to thread yarn and you put the yarn in your mouth and then
stick it in a little hole.
yeah.
So
So
great way to learn to get in the hole, fellas. Try
Yeah.
yarn. Oh
like
yeah,
a little spit determination, So
that's right. Oh
so
yes,
just,
see.
yeah, so just from doing this lip point like technique with their brushes, they end up ingesting some of this radioactive material, and it's caused severe illnesses like what they called radium jaw and bone cancer. And again, this company knew that this stuff was super lethal. So their jaws literally disintegrated, and some of their bones glowed in the dark. That's pretty wild. Yeah.
It's fucking wild.
You know, when women joined the workforce, like this was considered a high-paying job, and I guess they were like perfect for this position with their like little fingers and their attention to detail. And so the paint was made from powdered radium, zinc sulfide, something called gum Arabic. I don't know what these things are, and water. But again, it's the powdered radium that glowed in the dark. Is it was like, it was radioactive and it made them really sick. So anyway, fast forward. This is important for people to know because there are lawsuits against these companies for concealing dangers pretty much revolutionized worker safety and ultimately helped establish labor rights and something called you ever heard of OSHA?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like we have OSHA because of the lawsuits that these women brought forth about their work conditions. They got some settlements. So each of the Radium girls received $10,000, which would be equivalent to almost, I guess, $188,000 in 2025.
Okay.
They got $600 per year annually, which is equivalent to 11,300 in 2025, and they were paid $12 per week, equivalent to $200 in 2025 for all their for all their lives. The medical and legal expenses would be paid by the company. So they got
Well, at
some
least the
money.
legal, the expenses are paid, the medical expenses, because I was going to say, otherwise, they're not really getting a lot of money for not having a jaw and shit.
Well, so I was reading a lot about this, and some of the girls, their like teeth fell out, and like
Yeah.
and the holes like in their gums like got really infected. Some of them like their jaws literally disintegrated. Some of them grew
Yeah.
tumors. Like it was crazy. A lot of
I mean,
them
it was
complained
awful.
that
So,
they
like,
couldn't walk because all of their joints were hurting, and so they were all like bedbound. It was horrible. Just from like licking the tip of this paintbrush per their instructions. Horrible.
and of course, I, being a horrible person, can't stop thinking that the Radium Girls would be a great group for an all-girl singing group.
Yeah.
Welcome to the stage, the Radium Girls, and they all that come out.
Should do burlesque.
Come here, my leg. They were a lot better before, the whole jaw thing, but give it up for the Radium Girls. That's how we got that's how we got Ashley Simpson. The Radium Girls crawled so she could, I don't know, jig walk or whatever the fuck. Oh god, straight down. So bad. Anywho, yeah, the Radium Girls. That is fucking terrifying, dude.
Horrible.
That's why people gotta know. Don't always have so much faith in your employers. They're not always having your best interest at heart. Let's just say that. So,
what's up for you? What's your first one?
I'm gonna take you guys to the Battle of Blair Mountain, which was the largest excuse me, just had a stroke there. The largest labor uprising in U.S. history. So let's take you back to the year 1921. The United States came closer to a full-scale worker rebellion than most people ever realized. The conflict took place in the coal mining regions of West Virginia, where mining companies controlled nearly every aspect of workers' lives. And I swear I'm going to stop talking like this. Coal companies owned the town where miners lived. They owned the stores where families bought food. And workers were often paid in company scrip, which is a special currency that could only be spent at company owned stores, meaning that miners were essentially trapped in a closed economic system. So it's kind of like when you go to, like spring break in Mexico with these companies and shit, and they like give you these like meal coupons and shit, but it's like, well, you can only use them between 12 and 3 at the local Subway 18 hours away in a small town next you have to get to riding a burro. That's essentially the exact same thing here. Working conditions, of course, were brutal. The mines were extremely dangerous and wages were extremely low. And attempts to form labor unions were always violently suppressed. Coal companies hired private security forces like the Baldwin Felts Detective Agency to intimidate or attack union organizers. Tensions finally exploded after the Mattawan Massacre in 1920, where a gunfight between miners and company agents left several people dead. By the following year, thousands of miners had enough. And in August 1921, an estimated 10,000 armed coal miners began marching across southern West Virginia. Many wore red bandanas around their necks, which is where the term redneck is believed to have originated from.
Wow.
Every day. Yeah. And plus it looked kind of cool,
I just call them white trash.
That's right. And some of them were hiding hickeys too, and they just caught on. Their goal was simple. March on to Mingo County. Go on.
What is on Donald Trump's neck? Did you see that?
Yeah, that is weird.
Like herpes or some like a weird like chlamydial like infection.
Maybe a hickey from Putin. It's like, I love you, Donald. Come here, comrade. I bring it to be on your chest later on, comrade.
I think Billy was slinging yogurt after he got his dick sucked.
He was blowing Bubba, and then it's time to return the favor.
That's what I meant. Bubba, not Billy. I just assumed it's Billy. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So their goal was simple. The rednecks' goal. March to Mingo County and free miners who had been arrested for union activities. But to get there, they had to cross Blair Mountain, where coal companies had organized a defensive force of deputies, private guards, and anti-union volunteers. When the miners reached the mountain, a full-scale battle broke out. And for nearly 5 days, both sides exchanged gunfire across the rugged terrain. With machine guns were set up along the defensive lines, planes hired by coal miners even dropped homemade bombs on the miners from the air, which is absolutely wild. Historians estimate that over 1 million rounds of ammunition were fired during this battle. Eventually, the federal government intervened. President Warren G. Harding ordered U.S. Army troops and military aircraft to the region.
I'd never heard the name Warren G. Harding.
Yeah, buddy. He
he's the president.
That's right. He loves a little bit of Blue Chew in him, and he's ready to hit the road. Hard is his last name. Ing is what he'll do to you. Anyways, Warren G. Harding ordered U.S. Army troops and military aircrafts to the region. Faced with the possibility of fighting the United States military itself, the miners began to surrender. Nearly 1,000 miners were arrested, and many were charged with crimes ranging from conspiracy to murder. And although the miners lost the battle, the event eventually became one of the most important moments in American labor history. The Battle of Blair Mountain remains the largest armed uprising on U.S. soil since the Civil War. And I guarantee most of y'all had never, ever heard of it. So that was my first one.
I never heard that before.
Yeah, me neither. I had heard of the Blair Witch Project. That's all the Blairs I knew. And I don't think it's the same mountain. So
there was an obnoxious girl in my elementary school named Emily Blair. She used to chase me on the playground. Oh,
Simo's gay.
Yeah, that's why I chose this lifestyle. I was like,
that's right. That's the day he chose it.
Ladies, eat your heart out. Okay, so Next up, I got I think it's pronounced Tuskegee. No, Tuskegee.
Tuskegee. There you go. Tuskegee. What the fuck?
Tuskegee.
Tuskegee sounds like a new vibrator made after elephant tusks.
Tuskegee.
2000.
Yeah.
It's an elephant tusk. Easy slide
Tuskegee.
right into your ass.
So this is called a
Tuskegee.
Tuskegee syphilis study. I've also
this-
never heard of this before. Okay,
Wow.
so this study was of untreated syphilis, specifically in Black men. And it was a study conducted between 1932 and 1972 by the United States Public Health Service and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And they did this on a group of nearly 400 African American men with syphilis, as well as a control group without. So the purpose of the study apparently was to observe the effects of the disease when untreated, to the point of death in their autopsy. I think actually, isn't this how Al Capone died? Didn't he go crazy of syphilis?
Yeah, he went absolutely like it completely ate his brain to the point where like he didn't know what the fuck was going on. Like even there's actually when he was in Alcatraz, there was a guy who Al Capone betrayed that ended up locked up in Alcatraz. Who was like, when I see that son of a bitch, when he found out that Al Capone was being jailed there, he's like, when I get my chance, I'm gonna murder that motherfucker. And it's like so on. And he literally got his chance one day. And it was him and Al Capone. He's like, this is it. And he literally like gave him like one of those, like tapped him like to see, like, hey, motherfucker, remember me? And when he said, like, when Al Capone like spoke to him and like he saw like the shell of the man that was facing him, who like was completely insane, had no idea what the fuck was going on. He like looked crazy. He's like, you know, I was like, life was more cruel to him than me killing him would have been. So I pitied him and was like, fuck it. All is good, dude. And they went back to his cell. Like he
Crazy.
was crazy gone. Wild,
I don't
right?
really understand. I'm just googling it. Were these men given syphilis without them knowing?
Yeah.
That's what I gathered from this.
Yeah. So basically, they were like told, like, we're gonna give you free healthcare. Like, just come over. This is gonna be a study that we're gonna run with you guys. We'll take care of your healthcare for as long as the study runs. You know, it's great. You're like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna get free healthcare by the government. Fuck yeah. And then what they didn't tell them is that they were actually like injecting them with syphilis and just like monitoring them essentially.
So
And just watching them die, which is fucking.
I have a source saying that they were not intentionally injected with or given syphilis, but they already had syphilis and they were deceived into believing that they were receiving free treatment for like bad blood or whatever.
Okay.
But some of the sources last night looking through, and some things were not consistent. But either way,
That does sound right. I will concede that. It's pretty fucking awful.
They were like so I think that penicillin helps with syphilis. So I think that they've been effective treatments to reduce the severity of this disease since 1920s. But the use of penicillin for the treatment of syphilis didn't really, I don't think, came into circulation until 1945. These men, and again, just want to specify, they were specifically Black men, were not informed of the nature of the study. Proper treatment was withheld, and more than 100 died as a result. So the unethical nature of the study was brought to light not until 1972, when this journalist named Gene Heller published a report revealing the ongoing abuses. So this prompted public outrage, rightfully so, congressional hearings, and ultimately led to the study's termination. Thankfully, thank you to journalists. They're real heroes. So this Tuskegee syphilis study impact includes profound medical mistrust among African Americans, obviously, leading to reduced healthcare engagement, lower life expectancy, and increased health disparities, while prompting landmark ethical reforms like the National Research Act and informed consent requirements. but its legacy of exploitation continues to fuel skepticism and affect participation in clinical trials today. This was really fucking sneaky.
Yeah.
And it was approved by the American government because, again, this was a study led by the United States Public Health Service and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. This was a fucked up moment in American history that they don't talk to us about in school.
And those people that died a horrible, painful, just awful death. Like dying
They went
from
crazy.
Yeah, literally, it's like, and that's even like just part of it because this thing like completely eats your brain. So like your motor functions start to go. It's everything that's affected by your so literally everything. So everything about you is completely destroyed from the inside out, and it's painful as shit. There's painful physical side effects of it as well. So these people really fucking suffered at the hands of this stupid ass study. It's like, come on, bro, like. Awful stuff. But
Yeah.
a good one to start with. Good one to continue with, I should say. So up next, we got ourselves the move bombing, which is not the move, bitch, get out the way classic by Ludacris. No, this is totally different. This is the move bombing when police bombed a U.S. neighborhood in 1985.
I was born then.
That's right. Simo was like 26 by then. It was crazy. I lived a long life. Had a wife and 2 kids.
Yeah.
So, one of the most unbelievable moments in modern American history happened in Philadelphia in 1985 when a standoff between police and a radical activist group escalated into something almost unimaginable. Police bombed a residential neighborhood from the air. The group at the center of the conflict was called MOVE, a back to nature activist organization founded in the 1970s by a man named John Africa, which kind of sounds made up. MOVE members rejected modern society. They lived communally and often clashed with authorities. Their homes became known for loud protests, bullhorn speeches, and confrontations with neighbors and police. And tensions between MOVE and the city had already boiled over once before in 1978, when a standoff led to a shootout that killed a police officer and resulted in several MOVE members going to prison.
Is it kind of like Amish or like Mennonites?
No, they sound more like
tree huggers.
Yeah, like the tree hugger group.
Hippies.
Like, we're not gonna fucking move here, and they like chain themselves to a you know, they sound like more like those movements. But it's of course it's a Christian movement. So they advocate. It's a communal organization that advocates for nature laws and natural living. So yeah, definitely tree huggers. Whatchamacallit, the situation exploded again in 1985. MOVE members have moved into a row home in 6221 Osage Avenue in West Philadelphia, born and raised.
The rounds where I spent most of my days.
Neighbors complained constantly about the group blasting political speeches through loudspeakers at all hours. The city obtained arrest warrants for several members and decided to remove them by force. Then on May 13, 1985, hundreds of police officers surrounded the house. They brought armored vehicles, tear gas, water cannons, and thousands of rounds of ammunition. Authorities demanded that the occupants surrender, but they refused. Police then fired over 10,000 rounds of ammunition into the house during the standoff. But the moment that shocked the nation came hours later, when city officials authorized police to drop a bomb from a helicopter onto the roof of the house. The device was made from C4 explosives in a military-grade...
C4? I drank that before the gym.
That's right. Get yo! When the bomb exploded, it started a massive fire. And instead of immediately putting the fire out, officials made a controversial decision. They allowed it to burn hoping that the flames would force the MOVE members out of the building. And of course, the fire quickly spread.
Mm-hmm.
And because the houses on Osage Avenue were tightly packed row homes, the blaze jumped from building to building, and within hours, the entire block was engulfed in flames. And by the end of the disaster, 11 people were dead, including 5 children. 61 homes were destroyed, and over 250 residents were left homeless. Most of the neighborhood had nothing to do with MOVE. They were just families living on the block. And the tragedy shocked the country. Investigators later concluded the city government had made a series of catastrophic decisions. No shit. Yet, remarkably, no one was ever criminally charged for the bombing. To this day, the MOVE bombing remains the only time U.S. police have actually dropped an explosive from the air on a residential neighborhood. And I guarantee you didn't read that in a textbook in school.
I never heard that before. That's crazy. Because we grew up in Maryland. It's not too far away.
Yeah. And we're close to Philly. I'm getting close. I'm getting married 50 minutes from Philly. We used to drive to Philly in college to get cheesesteaks all the goddamn time. Philly's a great place. But yeah,
that's
Philly, you can see why like these communities in these different cities have total distrust for the police. There's shit like this that has happened in the history that no one teaches, but they fucking like murdered children and shit to get a group out of a house, to evict a group out of a house for playing. I mean, I know it's annoying. I know what it's like to have annoying neighbors, believe me. But playing music or playing a fucking political speech out of a loudspeaker is not a result to fucking start bombing people. Like, that's just me. So yeah, you can see why people in these communities are like, fuck the police, because they bombed us before. So
horrible.
This episode teaches a little perspective. Write that down, people. Message. Anyways, what you got next?
Well, next one, like I remember in school learning about Pearl Harbor, and that's what prompted the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right?
That's right.
Those are the towns, which was so sad. I mean, the bombing of Pearl Harbor was definitely sad, but then in retaliation, America devastated 2 cities,
But to be fair, they did kill Josh Hartnett and in the Pearl Harbor movie. So
correct.
When Josh Hartnett
died, for eye, bitches.
Yeah. And I'm like, Ben Affleck is not going to go home and bang your wife. I'm like, bomb them all.
Spoiler alert. Okay, so I knew this, but in school we didn't learn about the Japanese American internment camps.
Oh,
this is like this is, I guess, almost similar to what's happening now with these like cages, like these detainment camps now, where they're putting, quite frankly, a lot of brown folk, a lot of Latin American people in these like cages, and then they don't turn the lights out so they can sleep, and like there's not enough room for everyone to like lay down if they want to, and like the food isn't good. Like people are dying in like American care today, so this doesn't shock me, I guess is what I'm saying. But apparently after the attack on Pearl Harbor, the United States government forcibly relocated over 120,000 Japanese Americans. I guess this was more common on the West Coast because I guess the West Coast is closer to Japan, so there was a higher concentration of Japanese Americans on the West Coast. This was authorized by Executive Order 9066, signed by Franklin D. Roosevelt. I think that people overwhelmingly liked Franklin D. Roosevelt, but this wasn't a good decision.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly.
Most detainees were, in fact, U.S. citizens. So families were forced into remote camps surrounded by barbed wire and armed guards. Many lost their homes, their businesses, their property. And then it wasn't until 1988 when the U.S. government formally apologized, but the damage was done. That's horrible.
Yeah. In fact, a little awful fun fact, George Takei, who is known as Captain Sulu in the Star Trek franchise, it's a very famous franchise, his family was actually taken in by these Japanese internment camps. So that's why he actually spends a lot of time speaking out about what's going on now because he's like, hey, I lived this before. Not cool. Not cool. I've seen this. We're not heading toward a good place because he had to live in those camps. So it's like crazy to think about that while America was out, freeing the camps in Germany, they were making their own damn camps.
Yep.
And after the fact, if you follow the history of the Jews after World War II, it is not a happy ending either. Like Americans ended up with like trainloads and trainloads of these Jews after the war. Some of them that were still in their same outfits from the camps and shit. And they were like, they had to decide what to do with them. And trust me, things did not end up well. And when the Jews try to go back to their homes too that had been taken, they were not met with, oh yeah, sorry man, here's your home. They're met with, this is my home now, motherfucker, get out.
So sad. Ugh,
terrible history. If you ever want to get really super depressed, see what happened to the Jews after World War II. But yeah, this is crazy American history. You don't assume this shit would happen in American soil, but here we are. Anyways, on to my next one. And this one is called the Banana Wars, which sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love bananas.
Right? Me too. It's great with potassium and shit. You can have them on some ice cream. That's right. You can have them with your butt. You can have them so many different ways.
Pair it with a little bit of poppers. Yum.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Anywho, but no, these banana wars are when the U.S. invaded countries for fruit companies. And no, not SEMO startup. These were actual fruit companies. It's a total different.
Yeah.
So, the phrase banana republic gets thrown around a lot today, usually as a joke about unstable governments. Or again, SEMO's business. But again, we'll talk about that later. But the term actually comes from a very real period in American history when the United States repeatedly sent troops into Central America and the Caribbean to protect corporate profits, particularly those of massive fruit companies. Sound familiar? Between 1898 and 1934, the U.S. carried out a series of military interventions known as the Banana Wars. At the center of many of these conflicts were the incredibly powerful United Fruit Company, an American corporation that controlled enormous banana plantations throughout Latin America. The company owned railroads, ports, and vast amounts of farmlands across countries like Honduras, Guatemala, Costa Rica, and Panama. And because these economies relied so heavily on exporting bananas, United Fruit wielded enormous influence over local governments. Now, when political instability threatened American business interests, the U.S. military often stepped in. Like American Marines landed in Honduras multiple times, intervened in Nicaragua, occupied the Dominican Republic, and controlled Haiti for nearly 20 years starting in 1915. And during the occupation of Haiti, U.S. officials even rewrote the country's constitution to allow foreign companies to own land there, something that had previously been illegal. In Nicaragua, the U.S. supported friendly governments and fought against rebel forces for years, and the conflicts were brutal. Guerrilla fighters often fought U.S. troops in jungles and mountains, and resentment towards American involvement grew across the region. One of the most famous figures involved in these interventions was Marine Corps General Smedley Butler. That's Smedley, not Smelly. Very close. Butler was one of the most decorated Marines in American history and participated in several of the Banana Wars. Later in life, Butler became deeply critical of what he'd been asked to do. In a famous speech, he admitted, "I spent 33 years being a high-class muscle man for big business. I helped make Honduras right for the American-built companies. The Banana Wars helped cement America's influence in the Western Hemisphere, but also left a legacy of political instability, resentment, and accusation of economic imperialism. And it all started with something as simple as a fucking banana," which is absolutely wild. And like in Guatemala, for example, there was a 30-year civil war because of their involvement. Like they completely, this is why, for example, this pisses me off that you don't hear enough about it in school unless like you go to college and you specify as a political science major or something like that, because a lot of people don't understand why so many people from Latin America escape their countries to come here. But this is exactly why. The US spent decades and decades and decades destabilizing Latin America, and it didn't stop at the end of the banana wars. It kept going in different iterations for different things, completely taken down, democratically elected governments to put in people that were going to be more favorable towards their business dealings, putting in people that were dictators and shit that killed so many fucking people and made countries into shitholes while they totally enriched themselves. And so then when our people then try to escape those shitholes that were created by America to make America rich, and we come here, now we're being told that we're mooches and that we're pieces of shit and we're taking all their stuff. It's like, what? That doesn't make any fucking sense. So I feel like this is one that
Canadians.
Goddamn Canadians. This is one that should be taught in school to, again, give people a little more perspective of, hey, this is why people are coming here. Maybe we should be a little nicer to them. We kind of fucked up their homes. So this one sucks because, Venezuela is obviously part of this history later on as well. So that is the banana wars.
Yikes. Okay, next up for me. This is called the Northwood Operation.
Hey.
So this
basically Northwood.
Oh yes, Northwood and ride that shit to work.
That's right. I had a Northwood operation. It did not go well, and now it's pointing to the left.
That's okay.
Gotta get a refund.
It just makes you human. Okay, so Northwood operation was a proposed false flag operation, which originated within the Department of Defense of the U.S. government in 1962. So false flag operations are basically like when you frame someone, like you want to stir up some issues. So you're like, okay, I'm going to do this and make it look like they did it. And then I can retaliate. And I can kind of like twist the media, to defend. How do I say? It's like you don't want to lose the faith in American public.
I'm American and I'm in war with Mexico, and I dress up like a Mexican guy and I do something on American soil, and then I frame the Mexicans so that everybody's fucking pissed off and intensify support for my effort and shit. But I did it, not them. It's super illegal and against war conventions and shit.
Totally. So the proposals called for CIA operatives to both stage and commit acts of terrorism against U.S. military, civilian targets, and blame them on the Cuban government and use them to justify a war against Cuba. I think Fidel Castro took power in Cuba 3 years prior, and he began allowing communists into the new Cuban government, nationalizing U.S. businesses and improving relations with the Soviet Union during the Cold War, which was very concerning to the U.S. military. So anyway,
because, and note, this is another one of those governments where the government prior to Fidel Castro was a puppet government, Fulgencio Batista, that was put on by the U.S. Because they allowed the U.S. to do whatever the fuck they wanted in Cuba. And the mob, for example, was heavily involved in Cuba, and there was gambling, all this shit. But that government was also terrorizing actual Cuban citizens and fucking torturing them and doing awful fucking things to repress their right to protest and all this shit, which made it ripe for someone like Fidel Castro to step in. And at the time, he was viewed as a liberator because he literally fought a war to get Batista's troops out. So continue. It gives perspective to why, how things happen and where things are.
So from my understanding, the plan was to take a civilian aircraft that I think that they were able to remotely control it, and they were going to repaint it as a U.S. Air Force plane. and have like a staged or fabricated shoot down of this U.S. Air Force fighter aircraft off the coast of Cuba. And then some potential assassination of Cuban immigrants, sinking boats of Cuban refugees on the high seas, exploding a U.S. ship, and orchestrating terrorism in U.S. cities. So this proposal ultimately was rejected by then U.S. President JFK, John F. Kennedy.
Mhm.
Let's see. The operation proposed creating public support for a war against Cuba by blaming the Cuban government for terrorist acts that would be perpetrated by the U.S. government. So Operation Northwood's proposals recommended hijacking and bombings, followed by the introduction of false evidence that would implicate the Cuban government. But again, JFK was like, I don't feel good about this. And then guess what? JFK was killed 1 year later.
Mhm.
Just saying. Awfully sneaky.
Crazy. Yeah,
It's horrible that all the bigwigs in the Department of Defense and the CIA, they were like, let's do it. Everyone was in agreement. This is a great idea. Let's do it. And then JFK was like he took the moral high ground, you know, and he was, I don't know if that's the reason why he was murdered, but maybe it was. Who knows?
He
We
had a
don't know.
lot of conflicts with the CIA. With the CIA wanting to do what the CIA does, which is sketchy shit across the world, and JFK being like, no, let's not do this. So it certainly raises the at least the conspiracy theories flag at me. It's definitely a red flag, but I don't know. I don't believe in many coincidences with the JFK case, including things like that. But that's just me. That's just me. And one that's definitely gonna be a good time to put your tinfoil hat on, because many a conspiracy theories has spiraled off of this very true case that happened that they definitely don't teach us about in SKU, and it's MK Ultra, the CIA secret mind control experiments. Now, in the early years of the Cold War, the U.S. government became obsessed with one terrifying question: what if the enemy can control people's minds? And how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? No one knows.
3. The app said 3.
That's right.
1, 2, crunch 3. Remember?
That's why Simo's exes never smile. He always bites before he gets to the chewy middle.
Yeah.
But they had one terrifying question: what if the enemy could control people's minds? American intelligence officials believed that the Soviet Union, China, and North Korea might be developing psychological techniques capable of brainwashing prisoners or forcing people to reveal secrets. Some captured U.S. soldiers during the Korean War appeared to confess to crimes or cooperate with the enemy, which fueled fears that communist governments had discovered a way to manipulate human behavior. So the CIA decided to try to develop mind control first. So in 1953, the agency launched a top secret program called MK Ultra. The project funded over 150 experiments at universities, hospitals, prisons, and research institutions across America, with the goal being to study how drugs, psychological manipulation, and extreme stress could alter the human mind. One of the main substances that was tested during this program was LSD, which had only recently been discovered. CIA researchers believed
that's acid, right?
That's right. That's acid. The CIA was the one that brought acid to us. Without it, who knows how many trippy memories life would have had. But CIA researchers originally believed that psychedelics might not make you cool, but they might make you capable of breaking down a person's mental defenses and making them easier to interrogate. The disturbing part is that many of the subjects had no idea they were part of an experiment. So they fucking tripped balls without knowing what the hell tripping balls was, and shit got weird. Patients in hospitals, prisoners, and even random civilians were sometimes secretly dosed with LSD without their knowledge. And one of the strangest operations connected to the program was called Operation Midnight Climax, which again, it's not Simo's movie coming straight to DVD next week. Total different project.
A spoiler alert, I never climax. I try so hard, but
it's a 3-part series. We're still waiting.
Too many antidepressants. Sorry, guys.
You can get 10 seasons out of this, like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So, in Operation Midnight Climax, the CIA set up apartments in cities like San Francisco and New York City that were secretly run as fake brothels. Sex workers hired by the agency would bring in clients to these apartments where the men were secretly given LSD or other drugs. Meanwhile, CIA agents watched the encounter from behind two-way mirrors, drinking cocktails and taking notes on how the drugs affected their behavior. One tragic case involved Frank Olson, a government scientist who worked with biological weapons research. In 1953, Olson attended a CIA meeting where he was unknowingly given LSD. Over the next several days, he became severely distressed and paranoid. 9 days later, he died after falling from a New York City hotel window. For years, the government claimed that it was suicide. Olson's family later sued the government after learning about the secret drug experiment. And note, they gave him a fuck ton of LSD too, and he had no idea what it was, so he bugged out and just eventually jumped out of a fucking through a glass window and died. The truth about MK Ultra only began to emerge in the 1970s when congressional investigations looked into CIA abuses of power. But even then, the full story was impossible to uncover, because in 1973, as investigations were beginning, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered the destruction of most MK Ultra documents, so thousands of records were shredded. What remains suggests that the program ran for about 20 years, experimenting on countless people without their consent. But the program also intersects with a few extremely eerie historical footnotes. One often discussed example involves Ted Kaczynski, who would later become known as the Unabomber. Well, you gasped there. You okay? Was that?
I was going to say, I recognize that name.
The Unabomber. While he was a student at Harvard in the late 1950s, Kaczynski participated in a series of psychological experiments run by a professor, Henry Murray. In these experiments, students were subjected to intense interrogation and humiliation designated to break down their beliefs. Some researchers have suggested the experiments were connected to broader Cold War psychological research funded by intelligence agencies. And Kaczynski himself later said the experience was deeply traumatic. Now, while there's no definite proof the CIA directly targeted him, the overlap between these experiments and MK Ultra era research has fueled speculations for decades. And note, they also gave him LSD and shit, so the experiments were very close. And another name that sometimes comes up in MK Ultra discussion is actually Charles Manson and the Manson murders. Manson was heavily involved in the psychedelic drug scene in San Francisco during the late 1960s, at the exact time the CIA was running LSD-related experiments in the same area. So many a writer have suggested that Manson may have crossed paths with people involved in government drug research or experimentation.
Well, if he went to a brothel or whorehouse, then yeah, of course, right?
Exactly. So though historians caution there's no solid evidence proving that he was part of MK Ultra itself, it could have been that, he had got the drugs, exactly went to one of these brothels, and it's one of the ways that he was able to get LSD himself and spread it around San Francisco is because the CIA was giving them out to people in these communities. What is confirmed, however, is that the CIA spent many years secretly experimenting with mind-altering drugs and psychological manipulation on unwitting people. And to this day, MK Ultra remains one of the most infamous examples of secret government experimentations on civilians in U.S. history. And CIA, if you got the hookup, I am going to a concert soon, hit up your boy.
You know what? when I was in college, I had a roommate that I'll tell you who it is later. But he was tripping on, it wasn't acid, it was shroom. He was like had a bad trip. So he was like, fetal positioning, like crying at one point. And then he filled up a pot of water and he threw it against the wall because there was like a psychedelic looking fish poster that he thought was on fire. And he got my GameCube wet and ruined my GameCube.
No, not the GameCube, dude. What?
He was like, "My bad, bro. Like, I was having a bad trip. I don't care what happened or the
No, you owe me a
excuses. You owed
GameCube.
me a GameCube." And yeah, I
Yeah.
got that GameCube. I also smeared poop on his computer screen, if you know who that is.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
I remember.
so
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, that's really scary. So this guy Kaczynski, Ted Kaczynski, Unabomber that was the Oklahoma City bombing, right? Was it the
No,
Unabomber?
that's Timothy McVeigh.
Oh.
They actually knew each other. They ended up being in the same jail, so they became friends later on.
Who was where did the Unabomber bomb?
He bombed a bunch of stuff. He's the one that would mail boxes and shit to people, and he was like super smart, and he was living in a cabin in the woods and shit. Had a big
Okay, now I remember.
Yeah. He did a bunch of different things, and he would like send letters to the FBI and shit because he thought he was clever. And then eventually his brother was the one that saw one of the letters. And there was a specific way that Ted Kaczynski said a particular word. I forget what it is, that he would flip it over. And no one else really did that. So his brother was the one that was like, I think that's my brother, and knocked him out, which is crazy.
Yep. And the other guy that fell out the window, Frank Olson, he was tripping. Isn't that what happened to one of those like One Direction guys? Didn't he?
I wonder.
Maybe he fell off the balcony. I don't know.
It's very possible. Very possible.
That's very sad.
He was on mind altering, and he was kind of going through something. He apparently was described to be manic and stuff. So it's very possible that he was on something, but I didn't look up the autopsy. I don't know if it was ever released. Pretty sad though.
Well, my last one I picked because I think it makes me think of like current times. Because I think that we have a very scary political structure at the moment. And so this is from 1933, and this is called the business plot.
Oh, yeah.
So the business plot, also called the Wall Street Putsch, and the White House Putsch, Pooch.
Yeah.
Was that Polish? Russian?
Pretty sure it's Polish, but it's like a plot, a coup, something like that.
Okay, kind of like a coup. Okay, so it was a political conspiracy in the U.S. to overthrow the government of Franklin D. Roosevelt and install this guy named Smedley Butler as a dictator. Doesn't the name Smedley Butler sound like a dictator?
Yeah, he does, and he's the one I said he's not spelly. He's back on the list. That's twice.
Yeah. Who's the guy, the boss? Who's Homer Simpson's boss?
Mr. Burns.
Mr. Burns. Doesn't Mr. Burns sound like his first name would be Smedley?
Smedley Burns.
Yeah. So this guy, Smedley Butler, he was a retired Marine Corps Major General.
Yep.
I thought you were like either a major or a general, but apparently he was a major general.
Yeah.
He was a big time deal general.
And he's the one that I was talking about had a big hand in the Banana Wars.
Yeah.
So that's why they wanted him, because he was corporate friendly.
Mm-hmm. So he testified under oath that these wealthy businessmen were plotting to create a fascist veterans organization with him as its leader and use it in a coup d'etat to overthrow Roosevelt. Now, I could be wrong, but I think FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt, was the only president to serve 4 terms, or almost a full 4 terms. Then he died.
Yeah, he died.
So after that, the government was like, maybe we should just cap it at 2 terms,
Yeah.
Now, I think that Donald Trump's administration is trying to finagle a way for him to run a 3rd term.
Yeah, but
over my dead body. Okay, so in 1934, Butler testified under oath before the United States House of Representatives Special Committee on Un-American Activities. I think this was also called the McCormick-Dickstein Committee. Dickstein.
I think it is Dickstein.
Dickstein.
Hey, get your Dickstein off my leg, dude. Come on.
Get your Dickstein off my leg.
And you can also check out CeeLo's second porn, the Dickstein Committee.
Yeah, and then
Put in
after
the
that,
comment
we have a
committee.
very important meeting with the Shitstain Committee. Okay.
That's right.
So he testified under oath before the U.S. House of Representatives Special Committee on Un-American Activities on these specific revelations. So although no one was prosecuted, the Congressional Committee final report said there is no question that these attempts were discussed, were planned, and might have been placed in execution when and if the financial backers deemed it expedient. So let me break it down to like normal words. So in other words, the richest men in America planned a military coup to overthrow a president whom they felt was a socialist and a threat to their finances. So this makes me think of the January 6th insurrection, where a lot of these crackhead, redneck, like cousin fuckers came into the Capitol, and broke some shit. Some people took a shit, like a live turd in the Capitol with their Confederate flags. But I know for a fact that a lot of these dumb fuckers could not have afforded to get to the Capitol. So I think there's a lot of wealthy people backing them financially. And I think a lot of this was arranged by some of Trump's friends. This is all speculation, but I think that Clarence Thomas's wife helped to fund and organize a lot of these rich people to send these dumb fucks up to the Capitol to do the dirty work. So this sounds like deja vu to me. So ultimately, no one ever got punished for this, but I think that when people are like, I can't believe this is happening, I look at these stories from like our research, I'm like, does this happen before? And no one got in trouble then, they're not gonna get in trouble now.
Totally.
So scary.
It's absolutely wild, and it just to show if you have money in America, life is different. Absolutely wild, dude.
Well, your last one was actually the first one on my list when you came up with this topic, so I'm glad that you have it as number one. But I think this is the saddest one.
Yeah.
And one that I'm shocked that we don't talk about in school. Shocked.
Yep. And it's absolutely not just incredibly sad, but like the biggest case of like what if in American history, because what would America be like today if this place still existed? You know, it would be a much more profitable, happy place for many of people. So, of course, number one, we're going to talk about the Tulsa Race Massacre and the destruction of Black Wall Street in 1921. And again, this one fucks you up. In the early 1900s, the Greenwood district of Tulsa, Oklahoma was one of the most successful Black communities in the United States. Because of segregation laws at the time, Black residents built their own economy, and it thrived. So much so that the area became known as Black Wall Street. Greenwood had luxury homes, doctor's offices, theaters, grocery stores, banks, and over 200 Black-owned businesses. Some historians estimate that the district circulated millions of dollars annually, which is an enormous amount of money for the time. Many families owned property, and several residents were extremely wealthy. In fact, for a brief moment in American history, Greenwood represented something rare, a fully self-sufficient Black economic powerhouse. Then, everything collapsed in less than a day. On March 30th, 1921, a 19-year-old Black shoeshiner named Dick Rowland, will not say a joke here, entered an elevator operated by a 17-year-old white woman named Sarah Page. Something happened inside. Possibly he tripped or grabbed her arm, and she screamed. Rowland ran from the building, And the next day, a local newspaper ran a sensational headline suggesting he had assaulted her. Rumors quickly spread that a lynching was planned. And that night, hundreds of white residents gathered outside the courthouse where Roland was being held. A group of armed black World War I veterans went to the courthouse to protect him from being lynched, and a confrontation broke out. During the chaos, someone fired a shot. That single gunshot set off one of the most violent racial attacks in American history. White mobs flooded into Greenwood overnight. Businesses were looted, homes were set on fire, armed groups shot residents in the street. Witnesses reported private airplanes flying overhead and dropping incendiary devices and firing rifles at people below, making this one of the first aerial attacks on American civilians. By the morning of June 1st, the entire district was burning. Over 35 city blocks were destroyed. Around 1,200 homes were reduced to ashes. Churches, schools, and businesses were all gone. Historians estimate as many as 300 black residents were killed, though the exact number may never be known because many bodies were buried in unmarked graves. And what happened next made the tragedy even worse, because instead of protecting the victims, authorities rounded up thousands of black residents and placed them in detention centers guarded by the National Guard. Survivors had to carry around identification cards to move around the city. And to make things worse, insurance companies, of course, refused to pay claims for the destroyed property because the damage was labeled a riot. And even more shocking, for decades, the event was largely erased from American history. Schools didn't teach it, newspapers rarely discussed it, and many survivors were discouraged or threatened to silence. It took nearly 100 years for the massacre to receive widespread national recognition. And today, historians consider the Tulsa Race Massacre not only one of the worst racial attacks in American history, but also one of the largest acts of domestic terrorism ever committed against a U.S. community. And again, for me, like the what if aspect of it. Like, what if this city was still alive today? How much more profitable would the black community be as a whole? You know? And they say, "Oh, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps," and they hit communities with this bullshit. But when they did pull themselves up by their bootstraps, they fucking took away their boots and burned them all together.
Yeah,
it's absolutely wild to me.
It's so sad.
And this is wild to me that I didn't even learn about this till after college. Like, even as a political science major, they didn't teach me this shit in school ever. Not even dedicating myself looking for history.
There's this podcast I love, these two older women from Oklahoma. It's called I've Had It Podcast. And they're super liberal. They're like total like megaphones for the marginalized. And they referenced it. And I was like, what are you talking about? So it wasn't like this year that I learned about this. I had no idea. I'd never heard of it before.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't. And again, as I was talking about in Latin America and even the bombing in Philly, it's like it should give you a little perspective as to why the minority communities are distrustful of the federal government in America, and the police in America, and all these institutions that you might not look at the same way, but to them are terrorist organizations based on the things they have done. So hopefully this episode at least gave people a little more perspective to get to know each other's side of things. So, maybe we can bring the hate a little bit lower and, make America actually great again by being
Let's just make it through the midterms and impeach some fuckers.
We shall see. The tensions are boiling in MAGA land, so you never know.
Yeah.
Get done. So we shall see what happens. But with that being said, that was our list, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Told you guys this was going to be a wild topic, and this was the wildest U.S. history they don't teach you in school. And let us know what you thought of this topic, or if there's any other crazy historical events that that they didn't teach in school, and we might revisit this bad boy. So shoot us an email, fratchatpodcast@gmail.com. That's fratchatpodcast@gmail.com. And also, if you have any questions, anything to ask us for emails from the listeners, any topics you want to suggest, anything at all, shoot us an email, fratchatpodcast@gmail.com. And also, make sure you give us a follow on all social channels at FratChat Podcast. That's on Instagram. That's on Facebook. That's on YouTube. That's on Threads. It's on Twitter/X. You can also give me a follow. Check out my website, carlosgarciacomedy.com. And you can check me out at Carlos Does the World on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Threads, on Facebook. Carlos Does the World on Twitter/X. And last but not least, you can check out my good buddy Simo here at chris.moore.comedy on Instagram and TikTok, and Seymour Comedy on Twitter/X. Oh, no. So, Mr. Mo, it is time for us to roll. So why don't you please get us out of here?
I'm going to motion to adjourn this meeting so I can do some LSD with some hookers.
Get to the truth. And I second, so I can tape the whole thing and find out if he's lying to me about shit in my pillowcase. All right, you guys, we'll be back next week with another edition of the greatest podcast in the history of podcasts and time. It's the FratChat Podcast. I'll see ya.
Sayonara, sucker.